Welcome to our first mission. I hope you brought your Bibles, which will need to be in Genesis 1 and 2. Now on these missions we are going to learn about three things: who is involved, where it took place, and what happened. Let's get the first two out of the way. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. God himself is the main person involved. What about where it took place? Verse 2. And the earth was without form and void. So this took place on earth, but no specific location. The entirety of earth was the location. As far as what happened, it's usually easier to see events as they happen. Are you ready for this? Let's go. We have traveled through time and space to arrive at our destination. It's black right now, but that's not a glitch. Let's find out what's going on in verse 2. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. It's dark. There's nothing else there to see. There's nothing else created. But let's see verse 3 and what happens next. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now we have light. That's going to be helpful if we're going to make observations and see what's happening. Let's continue. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Now, many people have ideas about what happened on the second day. Right here, God calls the firmament itself heaven. Now, heaven can mean the place where God lives, but it can also mean the sky and space. Let's see what else we know. There's a division of waters. Where is a division of waters? Where do we see two places with water? Waters above and waters below. Well, we have streams, rivers, seas, oceans. Where else is there water? Maybe the clouds. There are more context clues coming. But for now, this seems a viable theory. Now let's see what we can find out about that. Verse 9, and God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Now we have dry land and plants. Now, dry land is nice because we don't have to float in the water anymore. And as far as plants, it's the biggest contribution that plants have to our livelihood. Oxygen, clean air to breathe. We depend on plants quite a bit. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let there be for signs and for seasons, and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament, there's that word again, of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Now we have two great lights, the greater to rule the day, and the lesser to rule the night, and then the stars. What are those two lights? The sun for the day, and the moon for the night. And those are in the firmament. They are in space. So the idea that the firmament is the atmosphere, is the sky, and space is viable. But let's continue with what we know for sure. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly, and the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth, and in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Now we have birds and sea creatures. And the birds, it said, fly in the firmament. So the firmament is a place with the sun and moon, and also birds. Now, this is just to give credit to a theory. There are many theories about this. But we know that God divided waters and did something here that had an impact on the earth. And he created the birds and the sea creatures, and after that, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Now we have the land creatures. Perhaps the cats, the dogs, the cattle, even the lizards. All sorts of things that creep and move along the earth. But that's not all that this day held. Verse 26, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Now, we have the land animals, but man is distinct. What is so different about man? What did God do differently? He made humans in his own image. That is distinct from every other creation. So we know humans are special. He made them, he made us to have dominion, to have authority and responsibility over all the earth, over animals, over plants, over everything. Now, let's turn to chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And finally, God rests. 6 days to make heaven and earth, and finally on the seventh, he rests. It's an interesting comparison to our regular work week. We work 5 or 6 days a week, give or take, depending on who and what job, and then a day of rest. It's very close to what we normally do. We work through the week and then have a day of rest, or a time of rest. Sometimes we get the weekend 2 days. In any case, I think we have found all that we can. Let's head back and recap on what we've learned. So, from what we know, what we've seen, who was involved? Who's the main person or being? God himself. Where did it take place? On Earth. And what was the event that happened? God created the world. He created heaven and earth. For brevity, to write on the space available, you can simply put God created all, or simply God created. Now you've done good work, agents. You can mark your page with a stamp or a sticker or a check mark for a mission accomplished. Come back next week for our next mission. Farewell.